Do you think that Wingspan would have won Game of the Year if Elizabeth Hargrave, the designer, didn't spend hours and hours making sure that everything within the game is actually scientifically accurate? I don't know. I think that is one of the elements that made it Game of the Year. I think also hearing about how Natalia Rojas, one of the artists for the game, spent 20 hours just on the barn owl, barely eating or drinking, didn't sleep. It was just straight 20 hours of doing art. Like, hearing about that makes me more interested in the game. It has nothing to do if the mechanics are fun or the components are good quality, but those little details add up to everything that leads this to be one of the greatest games of the year. I think other things that add to it, I don't think that games anymore can ride the wave with just a great idea, like a good hook, maybe a good mechanic or some good art. That might get them off the shelf. You might buy them because of that. And I think that you'll get them to the table, play them once, but the games that keep coming back to the table are the ones that match up with art, with component quality, with actual mechanics. Those are the ones that keep coming back to the table. But the ones that win awards, those are the ones that do it masterfully. Every single piece of a game is done to the highest degree. So in Wingspan, that was done. Scientific accuracy, amazing art, wonderful component quality, rule book that is just lathered in butter. It's so easy to read and you feel good and you get excited while you're reading it. The same was true with Root, the same was true with Gloomhaven. All these games are made to a degree of excellence that is beyond every other game. And I think if you want to have any chance of winning an award, that's the kind of effort you need to put into the games. Not to say that any other games aren't worthy of playing and worthy of buying. There's tons of awesome games, and you know, those are fantastic. I play a lot of them. But we're talking about award-winning games. And some of the things that I just love about Wingspan are easy to see, easy to smell, just from looking at the components, just from a simple explanation of the rules. And I think if you haven't played it yet, you really need to play it because this is just one of the best games I've ever played. Let's set it up. I haven't actually assembled the birdhouse myself. My wife usually puts this together, or one of the other guys, while I'm setting up the rest of the components. But that's why I keep the instruction guide here handy. Punch out middle inserts 1 and, oh wait, no. Oh, this is pretty easy actually. I see how to do it now. Beautiful. Look at that. Let's test it out. It works. With the game set up, I can kind of explain what makes this particular game interesting. The first thing that's really appealing is the simplicity. So it looks complex and there's some good decision making and complexity built in, but what you're actually choosing between is pretty simple. The mechanics are, there are essentially 3 resources. There's food, these 5 little resources. There's eggs, which are these lovely little components, and there are cards. So your hand of cards, your eggs, and your food are kind of what you're playing around with in the game. And what's beautiful is each one kind of exchanges and interplays with each other pretty well. You can go down a track where you're drawing a lot of cards, laying a lot of eggs, doing a lot of food gathering, or any mix up of that, because you can get points from any of those things, which is beautiful. And it allows for people to kind of play the game in the way that makes the most sense for them and what they like doing the most. So the way you play the game is you use your little cubes here, take turns kind of doing a worker placement between 4 choices. You can play a bird card, something from your hand. You can get food, which is determined by the feeder is showing you what's available. So right now available are 3 wheat, a wiggly worm, and one of these cherries. So you can gather that. You can lay eggs if you have birds that are out here. You can lay eggs depending on how much they can lay. And you can draw cards, which just bring cards from here, you can select which ones, or you can grab a random one from the deck, and after you select, those get replenished. So you're trying to figure out what the best resources for you are to gather. Because as you're playing the game, in addition to gaining food, laying eggs, drawing, you can play a card from your hand. As long as you pay the cost, maybe it's some food, maybe it's some eggs, you put it out here, and you can then next time gain food. Instead of gaining only one food, you gain one food, and if you exchange a card for it, you get 2 food. Or if you have multiple birds in this, you gain 2 food automatically. And the same is similar for laying eggs. If you want to lay 2 eggs, that's free. If you want to get 1 card, that's free. The more you play cards from your hand out here, the bigger benefits you get. So instead of placing the cube in the first slot, you place it in the third, the most open one. And then you kind of go along down here. Anything that's white, you just ignore. If it's brown, you get other abilities. Now, if you listen carefully, that means if I play get 3 eggs, I can put those eggs on birds, 1, 2, 3. Then I start going down the chain, and you're trying to build this amazing little engine. Most of the games I talk about have engines in them. It's because I like building up to something big, something that feels like it's really working well, and it gets me excited. No matter if I win the game or not, I felt like I accomplished something. So anything with brown gives you extra abilities. You can look at cards from the deck. If the wingspan of this bird is less than 75 centimeters, this one is 61 centimeters. So yes, I, as a predator, eat the bird. And so I shove the card underneath. That's a point for later. Any card shoved under is a point. Any egg at the end of the game is a point. Any food that's stored on a bird, because they've stored it, is a point. So every resource can be a point. Every resource can be used as essentially a type of exchange. So I can get more food with cards. I can get more eggs with food. I can get more cards with eggs. So there's this push and pull of everything kind of working together, leading to the eventual end where you count up your points like you do in most games. But what makes this game sing, what makes it fly, is that the component quality is meeting all the necessary criteria. High quality, delightful little pieces that you don't see everywhere. Unnecessary pieces that make the game amazing. Little wood dice. Those are things that are just nice to have, that aren't required, that don't change the actual function of the game, but they change the way you feel about the game. The game itself, really well designed as well. And the fact that so much time and effort was put into this, and that you can even look at the cards while someone else is taking their turn, find out a little bit about the bird that you're reading about, adds to the level of enjoyment for the game. I think it's certainly not necessary for a game to be bought, for it to get to the table, but it is necessary if the game's gonna win awards, that it puts this amount of mastery, of detail, of thought into everything. That makes it 10 times better than the competition. If you haven't tried Wingspan, you really should. It's a great game. It's a lot of fun. That's Wingspan. As I pick up the rats, it reminds me that another part of what makes this game great is it feels like you're doing the real thing, or like the mechanics really emphasize the reality of like predators attacking prey, or a cost to play a predator card is a mouse. Those little things also add to the fun of the game, where it feels like the mechanics and the theme really mesh well. Here's the one minor thing about the game that I have trouble with: putting away the birdhouse. It doesn't fit in the box in the way that I want it to. It doesn't feel like there's a dedicated space for it. That's frustrating. So what do you think of Wingspan?